Folks, I think we will kick off here. There are some people still coming into the meeting, so we'll let them come in as we go. But just in the interest of time, we will kick this off this morning. So good morning to everybody. Hope everybody is well. Thank you so much for coming into this webinar this morning and spending some time with us. Hope everybody enjoyed the long weekend and enjoyed that good bit of weather and that we're still having. So it's great to see so many people coming into this webinar as well. We're going to be with you for about 40 minutes this morning, 45 minutes. We're talking about security. We're talking about what we're seeing in the market. We're talking about what our customers are talking to us about within the security space, especially in the world of AI. And we're also talking about what our customers are asking us about in the world of security. So just a quick bit of housekeeping. We are going to be here for about 40 to 45 minutes. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put them into the chat or raise your hand and we will get to them at the end. So feel free to ask any questions at the end or put them into the chat. We will answer them all when the webinar has concluded and we've finished, and we will get to your questions. We will get to as many as possible. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to send them in to us and we'll give you a link to send that into. Just by way of introduction, my name is Nick Wall. I'm an account manager here at Codec. We have Tushar Kumar, who's going to lead the webinar security presentation today. He's a security lead here at Codec and an MVP. And Jenny Maher, who's one of our enterprise account managers, will be here as well. She's going to talk to you about licensing and a quick call to action at the end of this call. Next slide there, Tushar, thank you. Very quick introduction on the agenda. So as I said, my name is Nick Hall. I'm an account manager here. I'm just going to do a very quick introduction for you. Tushar is going to talk to you about the world of security, especially in the changing world of AI and AI implementation and what we're seeing in the marketplace and what our customers are talking to about at the moment. And Jenny is going to talk to you about licensing and a call to action at the end. As I say, 45 minutes maximum. So great to see so many people on the call today. Hopefully some of you know Codec. If you don't know Codec, I'm going to give you a very, very quick introduction to what we do. So we're very proud of the fact here at Codec that we have been in business for around about 40 years. So we are a Microsoft partner and we only do Microsoft end to end. We have a very, very close relationship with Microsoft. We've got a very close relationship with their messaging, their leadership, their account managers. We're an Irish-based company, but we work right across Europe and the UK. We have round about 200 active customers at the moment in all different types of projects, and we're very proud to say that some of those customers have been with us for a very long time, many years, and we have very good long-standing relationships with our customers in the Microsoft space and working with their business to bring the best of the Microsoft technology to their businesses. Next slide there, Tushar. Thank you. So we do the full stack of Microsoft products. As I say, we only do Microsoft, and we're very proud to do that. We look after the business application side of the Microsoft stack, so Microsoft Dynamics, Power Platform, Modern Workplace, Business Central, ERP, Dynamics, etc. We have our infrastructure side of our business, which covers data, AI, cloud services, security, Azure, etc. We also have the consultancy side of our business, where we have QAs, BAs. We talk about business change, business transformation, services, how we can work with your business to address the challenges that you have in your business. And also, very importantly, we are a CSP Tier 1. So we look after your Microsoft licensing. We make sure you get the best of your Microsoft licensing. We make sure that we optimize that licensing, and we also make sure that you're getting the best out of what you currently have and what you may have in the future. So very quickly, why are we here today? Well, Codec love going out talking to our customers, and whenever we go out to our customers, whatever we're talking about right across the board, people are always asking us, what about the security aspect to this? So we want to implement AI. We're implementing AI. We already have it. We want to bring XYZ in. We're using XY services. But how do we secure this? How do we make this compliant? How do we put a framework around this? And security really underpins everything that we do. Every one of those services that you see on the screen there, security underpins it here at Codec. And customers are always asking us, how do we secure this? How do we make this more compliant? What's the best way to go about this? And that's why we're here today, to talk to you about what we're seeing in the market, what our customers are talking about, and how you can leverage the Microsoft stack to address security within your environments. With that in mind, I'll hand you over to Tushar, who's going to take you through the rest of the presentation and the webinar.
Thank you so much, Nick. Hello, everyone. A very good morning. We are going to talk today about how security is changing in the world of AI, and it's somewhat in a good sense as well, and some of the bad impacts as well that's happening in the world at the moment. So, my name is Tushar Kumar. I lead the security practice in Kodak, and basically, I look after all the customers looking for implementing AI or working with different stuff within AI. And it is not just for you when you are thinking about implementing AI, right? So in next 45 minutes, what we are going to look at is how AI is changing the threat landscape. So even though if you're not planning, you're planning to shut your doors to AI and you are never going to look at the face of AI, still it is going to cause some problems for you in security landscape, and we'll see how. And how it is basically expanding the attack surface. So the attack surface used to be when we were in basically on-premises eras, we had a lockdown building with all lockdown networks, only things in DMZ, and that is only exposed, and we are just keeping a very minimal touch to the outside world. That changed. We went into the cloud era. We expanded the horizons. We started using a lot of cloud services and stuff like that. That expanded the attack surface there. Now we are putting more intelligent tools on top of all of those, and people who are outside of your organization as well are using those intelligent tools to consume all those services. So that is basically going to make your life difficult as a security professional to ensure that those AI tools and those specific intelligent tools are not expanding the attack surface, or they're not exploiting the expanded attack surface, right? A quick review on how you're going to look at your environment from AI security posture perspective, and also the governance and compliance specifically from EU perspective. And towards the end, we will just look at a few practical steps that you should be taking if you have not, if you haven't started. It's going to give you a roadmap on what exactly that you should be doing in terms of looking at your AI adoption and even prevention from AI. So, and just like to add a heads up to this, all images in this presentation is generated by AI, so it might resemble to some things or someone, so it is not on purpose, okay? So if you look at the dramatic growth of AI, and I asked one of the AI models to just generate this image for me, that how it is getting out of hands, right? So the dramatic growth of AI models, if you see after 2020, and it is all the Groks, the Chat GPTs of the world has started getting in, and it is not going anywhere. It is basically going upwards and upwards with each and every iteration of a new model that Anthropic launches, or ChatGPT launches, or Microsoft launches. There is something new coming in, right? And it is getting into now everything, your healthcare, education, business, everywhere, right? So how it is basically reshaping the threat landscape, right? So first thing is what you see is the AI powered cyber attacks, where the attackers are using AI to craft sophisticated, more of a phishing attacks. They are doing more social engineering, which used to be. And funny enough, I was talking to with one of the HR professionals, and they're using LinkedIn AI to reach out to different people. And the way it works is you just do 2 clicks, it will go off their profile, craft a beautiful message that will say, this is what we are looking for. Your profile says these things, and you should be doing this, right, to get this job. You can use the same thing to exploit in terms of just get a person's LinkedIn, or basically go for everyone in Codec and look at their LinkedIn. If they are looking for a job, send them a very attractive job opportunity with a link that will require them to log in with their Microsoft account. And that's where your credential fish that happens. There is automated reconnaissance, which is basically looking out at every places that what all the digital footprint that you have and finding vulnerabilities around specific areas. There are adaptive malwares coming in. So if you are using like the AV of Stone Ages, it's basically now the malwares are even getting adaptive. They are basically breaking the traditional signature-based detection tools, right? And towards the end, and you might have seen a recent incident around this, is compromised AI models, and which is basically exposing your keys and exposing the crown jewels of your organization. Okay, so if we look at just from a quick lens of phishing attacks, right? So what happens is the first thing some attacker goes in, they does the reconnaissance, they basically looking at LinkedIn job alerts, what exactly is happening within the organization. It writes a very personalized emails that goes based on the script data that goes into the user, and the user is the weakest link within your organization. They click on something that goes in, okay, we can, and the attacker steals the token there, and using that token, basically, they are going into the lateral movement there. Now, even in the lateral movement, earlier on, it used to be like there used to be certain techniques to find, okay, where I can go once I am in one system from attacker's perspective. Now it is even easier to just scan through what exactly is in there and what exactly is going to be my best path moving forward. And even it around what is going to be the best path for exfiltrating data as well. So if you look at from the perspective, and you might be saying, okay, who is I just have like a 50 people company, and who is coming after me? Like there's no, but I can just ignore these things. This is pretty high level, or pretty, you can say advanced for my organization. It is just 40, 45 people. I'm not very much concerned about these, but there is a rise, and I don't have the numbers on here, but there is a 50% rise in attacks, more than 50, I believe. And most of them are being targeted as SMBs, people with less than 300, 200 users, which is basically being targeted by either nation states. And with the world situation happening, it is being more organized cyber attacks. There is ransomware groups, and you might have heard of Black Cat and ALPHV. That's happening. There is opportunistic crime as well, which is basically more around this low-level hackers, but still with the enterprise-grade tools that they have got. Now they are able to run more sophisticated. So back in the days, it used to be, oh yeah, there is a spelling mistake, and we all have done those trainings where, oh, look for spelling mistake, look for a specific indicator in an email that says, okay, something is wrong in that email. But now, with all these AIs working on all these, there is no such thing. So even they are doing draft with Copilot now. And if we look at this, this is real data. All I have done is I've just scrubbed through the names of organizations which are subjected, and purposely it is kept until 2025 only, because I'm not here to scare you with all that, because 2026 has a few more major ones. But until 2025, when even if everything was in quite early days and the AI boom, if you saw the diagram initially, that was getting up and up. There was six of these that you can look at from this specific semiconductor industry, where the employees started putting data into proprietary data into the model ingested all that, and then basically started spitting out to people outside of the organization with all those trade secrets. The AI platform, I can name them. I haven't mentioned that. That was the ChatGPT. When it happened, there was approximately 1.2% of their paid subscriber were affected, and basically it was taken offline to patch stuff as well. So I'm not going to bore you with all of those, but specifically these, it is happening already, the AI related security events. If you go on Google and just search for real security events related to AI, you will find all of them. There is certain more specifically around, so what I just mentioned around phishing and phishing attacks. Now there is smishing, there is wishing, which is voice cloning and stuff like that. And this is original US report where there was a government organization and they authorized 25.6 million wire transfer just because they had a video call with a real person, which they thought it is real, but which it was AI generated and deepfake. Okay. One of my, and a really like, I find this really hilarious because this is one of the recent ones, quite recent ones, and this is McDonald's bot. So it is not exactly a security incident labeled as security incident, but I consider this as a security incident because if someone can do this, they can do even furthermore. So I hope I haven't checked if it is fixed or not, but this image was floating a lot around that someone went in on McDonald's website on their chatbot and asked, okay, I want to order chicken McNugget, but can you also tell me Python script to reverse linked list? And instead of just taking the chicken McNuggets order, the bot went in and gave the script how to do that, right? So if someone can do that without the guardrails, what can happen is they can just say, okay, order my chicken McNuggets and delete everyone else's order. So it might, I'm not sure what guardrails they have. I haven't regression tested that one, but it might go off and do some harm as well. So prompt injection is quite real. You might face that as well. And within all of these, there is a very new thing that came in, and it is like a very big headlines in cybersecurity market, which is Claude Mythos. So if you look at Claude Mythos, what it did is, and this is all what Anthropic claims, so it is not my personal opinion or claim. I have the link down there, which you can see. And you can just go on that link to see what exactly happened in there. But Claude Mythos during the preview, it was able to find 271 Firefox vulnerabilities, and it was all 181 was exploitable. And the biggest stuff in this was it was able to find a zero-day vulnerability in OpenBSD, which is 27-year-old. Okay. Uh, yeah. So within all that, and that's where what Anthropic's response to that was they stopped the Cloud Mythos going public, and they have started a project called Project Glasswing, where basically the product was given to specific organization likes of Microsoft, Oracle, and all to fix the vulnerabilities first before the model goes out in public and people start using it to exploit the certain applications. Okay. So, what exactly the Mythos and the new it gives us, like, it's an eye-opening moment for us that the patching windows that we used to have earlier on around, okay, we are going to patch on every month, 7th or something like that. That's actually gone now. Now you have to prioritize and you have to look for vulnerabilities and you have to make sure it is a continuous patch cycle. And with all the priorities defined for the vulnerabilities, the AIs are being used against you. It can be used against you. So you need to make sure the tooling that you're using, it is basically equipped with AI and it is giving you defenses from all those. Uh, Basics still matters. So all that I'm going to talk in my coming slides as well, there is nothing new. And if you are expecting that I'm going to say, oh, there is a new magic wand that has came in and we can use that, that's not true. So basic still matters, and I'm going to talk through how the basics are going to help you out in protecting all of those. Okay, so your expanding attack surface, and we'll see how that expanding attack surface is being covered by the Microsoft tooling in this. Okay, so the 5 ways of expanding attack surface: your email and phishing, we talked about that. Your identity and credential, that's basically your credential theft and MFA fatigue and all those endpoint and devices, getting malware on your devices, getting different invasion techniques on your endpoint devices, data and AI tools. That's basically making sure your data is secure, your AI tools are not going rogue, what we saw in the McDonald's example there. And at last, all the models that we are using, it is not basically going off and like handing your keys out to people outside your organization. Okay, so how do we do all that? So if you see on the bottom of this, you have specifically here, you can see, sorry. Yeah, so in the bottom of this here, you can see we have the tools defined, what exactly is the equivalent for that, and we'll see that those in detail coming in coming slides as well. So each of those is mapped with Microsoft security, you can say, products and toolings. So the vector one that we looked at more around phishing attacks and what is coming in, what's not, who is doing, it's basically the phishing attacks that people are getting these days. Before AI, as we mentioned, it was bulk, generic, poor English, easy to spot, or spelling mistakes and stuff like that. With AI, you have professional LinkedIn, a company website, jobs. It has all those details. It has correct grammar. It has more click-through rate. What you need to do in terms of defending from all that, and what it translates into a Microsoft product, is you need to make sure you have your Defender for Office properly configured. And when I say properly configured, you need to have the rules set for all of the what we have here. Okay, and that's a very high level. You need to go granular. You need to make sure all of those rules that you set up 6 years or 7 years ago, it is still valid, or do you need to update any of those? Do you need to look at any specific areas in Defender for Office 365 specifically to prevent those sophisticated phishing attacks? The next up the line is your identity, and that's where the Entra ID comes into picture. If you're a cloud-only organization, that's well and good, and you have all that capability that you can go on and implement. If you're not a cloud-only organization, you can basically look at a combination of Defender for Identity along with Entra ID, which will give you all that. What we are looking at specifically, because of the AIs being quite sophisticated, they can do a password spray attacks, or even me being a non-coder, I can basically write up a script just by doing 2 prompts that will do a password spray attack that will keep on iterating through all the known passwords and do that. And the numbers all basically comes from Microsoft Defense report, and that's where basically you can see all those things actually happening, and it is being seen by the industry. So the way it all translates into is you need to make sure, if you have the traditional conditional access policies, which is more around, okay, if this happens, do this, it needs to be upgraded. It needs to get a bit of a additional functionalities, which is basically going to be the risk-based detections, the making sure the devices are compliant, whoever is accessing stuff, you're not leaving your privileged identities as it is, like for everything. And the last thing is you need to extend all these controls to your AI agents and your third-party AI connectors as well. So one thing that I have noticed in, I would say, and I can say that with confidence, is 95% of the organization, right, that they don't understand there is an Entra ID, workload ID, specific SKU available for your service principals, for your app registrations. So right now your conditional access is being bypassed by your existing you can say by your existing service principles and the stuff around that. If you need to cover them, you need to make sure they are coming in through you have a workload identity, and you are including your workload identities as well in the conditional access policies. As part of this, with only it was only service principals, it was only app registrations early on. Now it has changed. Now we have a third vector as well, which is basically the AI agents, and the agents are doing a lot of stuff on behalf of us. So we are looking at Entra Agent ID. So this is a new functionality and a new feature that has came in for just your AI workforce. It's uh it's basically going to govern any of the I could say any of the Foundry agents or any of the Copilot agents that you are going to create. It's basically going to make sure they are getting covered with the conditional access. They are getting the lifecycle management. They are getting the scope tokens to certain things, and it is also going to make sure anything that the users are going to create, that's basically being governed by the right identities and access scenario. And it all aligns with zero trust. So you can make sure the least privilege is being enforced. And at last, one thing that people has started getting into during this AI adoption and everyone getting into the AI era is when the Copilot launched, everyone started looking at, okay, we have a lot of data overshared. We have people going into loads of different websites. You need to know what exactly is happening. And funny enough, if you see the chat, there is someone, I'm not sure who it is, but someone started an AI agent, and that AI agent is basically taking notes there, right? So you need to make sure, and I am not sure if that agent is an organization approved agent. Might be. I'm not saying any of that, but it can be an organization approved agent. It cannot be an organization approved agent, but someone is thinking of it as this is helping me. This is going to make sure I am getting all the notes out of it. So that's basically now being injected into all the teams meetings, irrespective of if the team's meeting is going to be discussion about financials, it is going to be discussion about if the company is going bankrupt, if the good that is going to have a very big impact on the market, if it is about something really you can say confidential, but still the AI tools is taking notes without getting a proper consent from the overall organization perspective. So that's where it all comes into play, where we are looking at Microsoft Purview. So you can categorize your meetings, your emails, your files, that what cannot be read by an AI tool, being it Copilot, being it third-party tools. Basically, that's what the purview part we are going to do, and we did a quite elaborate webinar a couple of months back on that. So you can go on all that. You can watch that if you're interested around that. Defender for cloud apps, making sure people are not going into certain unapproved AI applications. So if ChatGPT is not allowed, we block ChatGPT. We block the whole generative AI section, and we just allow Copilot or things like that. SharePoint Advanced Management is going to give you any oversharing, and at last, the DSPM for AI specific policies within Purview, which is going to give you more around AI security. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to look at how we are going to assess our security posture, right? First thing first is we need to do a discovery of AI usage, okay? And me being a less technical, I wanted to do a poll out here, but if you look at this, right, if you have to give a guess, every organization who is using Copilot, right, the number of agents that they have within their environment, knowingly or unknowingly, it is always less than 50, I would say, even in SMBs, okay? And if you go for a larger user base, more than 600 users, that numbers will go in thousands. So first thing first, you need to do what exactly is the AI usage. And if you see it on the left-hand side, that's the CX Trend 2024-2025 report. Shadow AI, and when I say shadow AI, that's basically unapproved AI by the organization. So someone thought it's really a good idea to get Claude in, or someone thought it's a really good idea to get ChatGPT in. So they started using that. That's 250% growth in financial services, 233 in manufacturing, and so on in different sectors, right? And these are critical sectors that we are looking at. All of these growths are happening. So first thing first, you need to know what AI apps are being used, who is using that, and what exactly is there. And that's basically comes from your Defender for Cloud apps, which is going to get you visibility on people doing stuff on those AI apps, and you can see what exactly sites that they are accessing. The right-hand side screenshot is more from the Purview perspective. So the Purview DSPM is going to give you an AI observability, which is basically going to let you know that what all is in there. And all of these are in Agent 365 as well. And that might be a separate topic of its own when we can have a chat. Uh, a AI observability is going to give you what all agents that you have, what all agents are inactive, what all agents are accessing. Basically, that is basically going to make sure anything within your organization being accessed by agents, you have a visibility on that and you know what they're doing. Okay. But the foundational structure for that is going to remain the same, that you need to make sure your identity and access management, your data governance, your policies, and your visibility, it is covering all the AI usage, all the AI apps, and anything that relates to it. Okay. So if there is an agent doing some stuff, it is not like that you have an agent. It's a computer generated thing. It's a autonomous thing. So we will not have audit logs, and we will not ingest the logs into Sentinel for those. It needs to be done because the agents can go rogue as well. Okay. And the best place to start for all of these is going to be your Microsoft Secure Score. You need to know where you stand in terms of your identity, where you stand in terms of your data, your sensitivity labels, your DLP, your encryption, where you stand in terms of your devices. Are they secure? Are they going into, do they have certain recommendation that Microsoft is suggesting, and certain apps as well. So overall, if you look at the secure score, and I know it's a big pain, sometimes you see a lot of recommendation that is not applicable for your organization, and you're like, okay, yeah, no, this is all bad. I don't want to look at this. But I would highly recommend to looking at this. And if you look at industry average, like overall score is 52%. Like people tend to ignore the secure score part, while there is always a justification. So what you can do is you can go through that, and even though if you have third-party products, just make sure you have equivalent controls put by third-party products, and it is put in the manner that even Microsoft suggests for your environment. And all of that basically make sure you're aligning it with zero trust framework, which is verify explicitly, being it a user, being it a device, or AI agents, they need to be verified explicitly. You need to make sure that their identity is being checked with Entra agent ID. They are going through all the conditional access that is required. Maybe they will get some relaxation, like they will be traveling from Netherlands data center to Dublin data center. So they might get some relaxation, but you need to make sure they are getting covered and you're getting proper controls over all of that. Least privilege is another. You need to make sure all the people who are accessing these tools, they have right access to the data, and even the agents that are accessing that, they need to have the right access to certain, they need to be restricted to the only thing that they are supposed to access. Okay. Last, that's more around ingest everything that you are doing from the AI apps perspective into your SIEM, into your event correlation platform, whatever you use, just to get a visibility on anything that is happening from your AI apps perspective, assuming breach. Okay. Last but not the least, and the industry average is 70%, more than 70% organization don't have AIs included in their incident response. And when I say incident response, it's not from the protective measure perspective, but more from making sure, okay, if we had an incident and the copilot got compromised and people started exploiting and the attacker started exploiting copilot to extract data out of it, what are we going to do? Or we have OpenAI, we have models deployed, and the attacker started extracting data, what are you going to do? So all the six NIST suggested IR or whatever platform or whatever framework that you follow for your incident response, make sure you are integrating AI into it and you have AI mentioned that what exactly is going to be the scenarios in terms of an AI breach and what is going to be the recovery from that. Okay. Now governance and compliance, which everyone dreads, right? Oh, your ISO audits, your NIST 2 and all those specifically, right? So one thing that we have to look as you have from AI perspective, and specifically you have EU AI Act, you have GDPR, which has been there for long, but it is now getting more you can say zoomed in because of all these. NIST 2 is definitely there, and there is ISO. So what and from an organization perspective you should be looking at, the first thing first, you need to define an AI acceptable use, and I'm going to talk a lot about that only for the first starters here. You need to define an AI acceptable use. You cannot control anything unless you have a defined process, you have a defined scope of what you are dealing with. So the AI acceptable use policy is going to be the core of your organization, where you are going to make sure, okay, these are going to be the tools that we will be using. These are the methodologies available, or these are certain things that it can do. Okay. And we'll see how it relates to the EU AI Act as well. Second thing comes into, you need to make sure anything that we are doing, anything that we have in here, it needs to be any data that you have, any data that you have, it's classified. It's Jenny distracting me with the chat messages. So yeah, you need to make sure the data classification is in place. You are making sure all the data that you have, it's classified. You have certain protection put in for all the confidential data you have, like encryption and rest, just to make sure it is not being exposed in the AI workflows. And you're maintaining your risk register for AIs as well. And the pace it is changing, and I have mentioned it on the slide, is quarterly AI security reviews. I won't be surprised if it changes to monthly or weekly maybe, but the way the pace AI is changing. But currently, if you look at this, it needs to be at least a quarterly the AI security reviews, just to see from the visibility part that we saw initially, from the secure score recommendation that is coming in, and also the threat intel that you get from other places, just to make sure you have right controls in place. Okay. Oh, I think I skipped through. So, and I'll not spend a lot of time because this has been there for long. You might have seen this earlier on as well, but this is what is going to drive your acceptable use policy in within your organization. So what EU AI Act says, what is unacceptable, what you cannot do using AI, like social scoring someone, judging someone's character and stuff like that, biometric surveillance and stuff. There is high obligation part, and that's where you're going to define it in your acceptable use, that the HR should not be using it for X, Y, and Z purpose. So HR recruitment, there is strict obligations that there should be a human in loop, and etc., etc. We won't be going into the deep depth of that, but that's basically going to give you an idea of, okay, that's where we have high obligations, where it is high risk. These are activities. The limited risk is your chatbots, your deepfakes, those if you're creating uh, like house images just to show as a model, you need to be upfront about it. If you're taking AI interviews, those AI interviews and things like that, you need to be more, you can say, transparent about it, that this AI is taking interviews, this AI is going to give me feedback to people. And the minimal risk, which is no obligation one, that thing that you are basically doing at the moment as well, and the tools that you have deployed within your organization, like soft spam filter, AI, video games, and stuff like that, that's basically going to be in there. So four main areas of your acceptable use: what is approved, what data is allowed based on the classification, where exactly the human oversight is needed, and what monitoring and audit that you are doing. That is basically going to give you an acceptable use policy for your AI, and you can make sure that is seen by everyone who is consuming AI apps within your organization. Okay. And here we come into the last section of this. So, which is basically what you need to look at is from, I would say, 30 to 90 days initially. If you haven't started this journey, I would highly recommend you start not now, but at least this week, just to get into it, because you need to look at first thing, perform a security review within your M365 estate, because that's the first thing that can get compromised in terms of your end user computing, and that's where your end user interact most. Or it's just mostly focused on the Microsoft stack there. That's why I'm saying Microsoft 365. But your additional estate, if you are running some other clouds, run a security review on those just to see if there is any gaps on those or not. The reason being, as I'm trying to scare you from the first 10 slides, it's all of those tools that are coming into market at the moment, they are getting smarter and smarter to scan your infrastructure, to scan the vulnerabilities that is available and exploit them. Then you go ahead, you enable logging for whatever AI app you use. If you use AI, OpenAI, if you use Claude, if you use uh, Copilot, just make sure you have the auditing and logging on all of those, and then define the AI use policy within the organization. That's the first thing you must have within the organization. And then you get into more of a sophisticated looking at what people are getting into, how you find out if there is a shadow AI uses. Make sure anything that is being used or being exposed, it is classified by data classification. You have the security awareness training done, and then keep going with all those quarterly reviews that I mentioned, monitor the analytics, and make sure if Purview is configured and it is saying that there is oversharing happening, or if there is something coming up in the chats which it should not, make sure you're acting on all of those. Okay. So the two things is the wrong approach is going to be you go off and say, we are not going to use any AI apps within the organization. So what we are going to do is we are going to use, we are going to block everything. That's not right. You need to go in and say, let's do a proper tool which is enterprise grade, like Microsoft 365 Copilot, which stays within your data governance boundaries, and you can basically without hesitation put your files into it and use those. Classify your data. Make sure you have AI security conversation within your organization. It's not just IT, you're spreading the love to all the other all the other areas as well. Run your secure score, make sure you have everything covered. And there is a new SKU from Microsoft that has came in. It's E7. And if you are getting into more of AI implementation, it is worth exploring, as E7 comes with a lot of things that we talked about today in a single package. So just to give a recap, the tools that we talked about today for your posture management, for making sure you're protected from your prompt injection and all those other stuff, we are looking at Defender for Cloud. For visibility, that what all Gen AI applications people are using, we will be looking at different of cloud apps. Purview is going to make sure your data governance, your classification, all your interactions is being properly secured. Sentinel is going to be your assume breach and keeping everything visible. Entra ID is going to make sure your agents, your users are being protected. Copilot for security, I think we touched upon that as really lightly, but Copilot for security is going to give you the same capabilities with all those models in terms of defending stuff. And the last is making sure the AI services that is being accessed, it is not being accessed from Wild West somewhere. It is being accessed from your organization approved devices and specific networks. Okay, with this, I'll hand it off to Jenny.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown on what Tushar has just talked about, the licensing. So Tushar, do you want to go to the next slide? So just in terms of the licensing that Tushar just described there, so everything in the first column, like from 1 to 6 or to 7, is included in your E5 license if you have that today. If you don't have an E5 license today, you can actually get an add-on to your E3 SKU, and the pricing there is listed. I suppose it's important to note that Sentinel comes through your Azure portal, and so does Copilot for security, and they are consumption-based and not user-based. So what I'd like you all to do is that if you're interested, Tushar, do you want to just go to the next slide? We would like you all to log on to or scan this QR code, and we're offering a 30-minute free consultation with our security consultants to help you drive your security journey and help you on your AI footprint. Thanks, everybody. And I suppose just one last question. If anyone has any questions, we didn't get any questions into the chat window, but if anyone has any questions, it'd be a good time to drop them into the window now before we close. Sinead has also just dropped in the form into the chat window if the QR code doesn't work. Tushar, there's just a question in there for you.
Yeah, I can see that, and that's definitely a really interesting question, and I am looking forward to it to see what happens, because that might be the time to retire from cybersecurity when quantum comes into play. Definitely, there's a lot of changes in going to come in once we get into more of a quantum era. Because even if you look at, there is a lot of speculation around all those bitcoins and the crypto not being capable of the existing algorithms are easy to crack through quantum. That's the speculation at the moment. So it is definitely going to change a lot, but unless something like Sam Altman does that he did on the chat GPT, and someone does something like that on day 0 there, where we will see quantum getting that rapid steep, we don't have to worry about it at the moment. Okay, perfect. I believe we can wrap up then. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.